Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today I am in Washington, D.C., and let me tell you, I'm at the Power Up Conference, my second year in a row covering this, and this is one that I will not miss. So I come out here to celebrate Women's Equality Day, but then I also come to support Dr. Nancy of Women Connect for Good and Gloria Felt and Take the Lead Women. Oh my gosh, the work that they're doing out here. More, if you haven't been to one of these conferences, you need to be here next year. And my next guest, I just watched her be interviewed on stage and talk about this book that we're going to get into. So on her game. First off, Christine, welcome to the show.
Adam, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So I just watched you on stage and I got the full story of the book. So on her game, for everybody watching, just so you know, we're going to put some links in the show notes so that you can just click on the links and pick up a copy of the book. But just to get us kicked off here, what inspired this book?
You know, Caitlin Clark and Logo Threes. So the book, as you know, is On Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports. It's just out and it debuted at number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list, which tells you there's a lot of people out there who love Caitlin Clark. And we know that. We've seen the crowds. Last year, when her rookie year, she comes to the Indiana Fever. The average home attendance, Adam, for the Indiana Fever was higher than the average home attendance for 5 NBA teams.
Wow.
Yes. 5 NBA teams. I mean, that's a sentence I would have never thought I could say.
Wow.
The lines, people waiting for her, the TV ratings, moving to the bigger arenas because of Caitlin Clark. We have never seen a female team sports athlete like this.
Yeah.
As a journalist who's covered sports for many years, covered women's sports, covered Olympics, NFL, Super Bowls, Tiger Woods, the length of his career.
Yeah.
You know, when I was watching this happen, I thought, this is a story that I never thought I would see in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And I decided to dive in. Scribner's the publisher. We didn't have a book in July of 2024. By July of 2025, as I said, it's on the New York Times bestseller list. And I was traveling the country and on book tour, and people, 300, 400 people lined up for hours getting copies of the book in Iowa, in Indiana, but also in D.C., Portland, Oregon. I mean, around the Chicago suburbs. I mean, that's the interest in Caitlin Clark. And it's a journalistic look.
Yeah.
So it's not authorized. That sounds ominous. It's not. It's what you want.
Yeah.
You want a no holds barred look at this incredible phenomenon. She'll write her book someday. That'll be authorized to be great. This isn't that, because I want to keep covering her.
Yeah.
So you're getting that journalistic look, but the Logo Threes are jumping off the page, the magic of sports. And I tell a lot of people, this book, you can buy it for yourself as an adult. You can buy it for grandparents. You can buy it for your 12-year-old boy or girl. It's that kind of a book that literally tells just the absolute magic and joy of sports, of a great all-American sports hero.
Yeah. What do you think this means for like someone like a Caitlin, or specifically Caitlin? What do you think this means for women's basketball in general? Like when I look at this, and I haven't been covering it or following it as closely as you, obviously you've been in the trenches with this, but I think about when I was growing up and like Michael Jordan, how he brought entire new audiences that didn't even care about basketball, men or women's, like period, just didn't even care about basketball. All of a sudden they're watching because they get caught up in this euphoria. They get caught up into like, they couldn't see people doing this. When I look at Caitlin and her story, I'm like, wow, people are like rallying around this. And it's not like maybe some of what was considered once upon a time, rightfully or wrongfully. I don't know how, I don't cover sports, but women's basketball, like what does it mean for the game overall?
Oh, it's huge. And you're right. There's so many people who just didn't care. I'd be on radio shows in the 90s and the early part of this century. I'd get laughed at as I'm talking about the women's Final Four or early WNBA games, and there'd be callers that are laughing. It's a bad game. They're below the rim. You know, they are rolling around on the floor. It's jump balls. You know, just the absolute criticism, misogyny, maybe sexism, whatever it might be, of the women's game. Well, those guys who used to call in and laugh at me, and by the way, bring it on. I don't care.
Of course.
Yeah. You know, and I would, of course, defend these great female athletes. This would be a generation ago. Well, those guys are now wearing the 22 jerseys, not only to games, but they're wearing them to the grocery store and the gas station. And that's the sea change here. Yeah. And when you've got the guys who, and the men and women too, but especially people who never cared about the WNBA, who now are planning their evenings around Caitlin Clark's game. And of course, for those who are saying, well, but it's more than Caitlin Clark. Of course, the WNBA is a league of many great players, but they never got the attention they deserve.
Like Michael Jordan, there was a whole league. He comes in, more people care.
Exactly.
It changed.
And
that was a pivot.
Right. The spotlight shines then on Jordan, also shining on all these
Entire
other players.
League. Now people are paying attention.
Same with
There's
Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
Right. And that's what I think critics or people who don't like Caitlin Clark, and I deal with that in the book,
Sure.
the jealousy, the racial issues, obviously 74% black league, a white woman. Of course, we understand that could be problematic. That could create some issues. Nothing is off limits. I go there. I don't dwell, you're not going to be hit with politics throughout this book by any means. I dive into the issues. I dive out. A lot of game coverage, reliving those Iowa games. But absolutely, that's it. The fact that now that spotlight can shine on all these women who deserve the attention from the male-dominated mainstream sports media, never got that attention. Well, they're getting it now.
And then the next layer, which is already happening, as you think about even in Jordan's day, there wasn't as much money in sponsorship or in the league in general. So now that you have more eyeballs, now, big business is going to pay more attention, more deals for the players, obviously, but also like everything surrounding that whole ecosystem of sports. So now when you have more eyeballs, more attention, in theory, right, sponsorships and things for WNBA should be increasing, which makes more dollars, more marketing, and it should feed on itself, hopefully making the whole pie bigger for everyone.
And absolutely. And this is, again, what people who, if they don't like Caitlin Clark or the cheap shot hits that she takes, well, guess what? She's your economic...
Helping everyone,
Right. She's the economic rocket ship.
Yes.
Don't hurt her because she's going to be getting you more money. Already, the franchise value has gone way up for the new teams.
Yeah.
Exponentially. New TV deal, bigger, better. We're seeing that throughout. More cities want it. Cleveland, they're going to expand to Portland next year, then Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia. So it's getting bigger. It's people care. And, interestingly, the Golden State Valkyries, so that's the new team this year, they're selling out and people are crazy about that team. So new teams are coming in and the fan base is there to support them. Not so much in Dallas, where Paige Beckers, who's a great player, but only has 7,000, can't even sell out a 7,000 seat arena. So it's Caitlin. It's definitely Caitlin Clark. Yeah. Others might say, well, what about so-and-so? Caitlin is the one that draws the casual fan, the people that couldn't care less. Now they're watching.
We're literally talking about her right now on this show. And for my audience knows, when's the last time I've covered, I've done 1,000 book interviews, and this is the first one on a basketball player like this.
And she's an entertainer, because people ask me, and I deal with this in the book and on her game. Why Caitlin? Why? Because she is, shooting from the next county and it's going in. Yeah. And she's running the floor. She just loves to speed down the floor, sprint. She just eyes up. The passes are beautiful. She had a pass. She's been injured a lot this year, but she had a pass, Adam, earlier in the season where she throws it almost the length of the floor to her teammate, Sophie Cunningham. The ball goes just over the fingertips of the defender from Dallas, right to Sophie Cunningham, up and in. She puts in a layup, so 2 points. And the announcer on the game said, "Touchdown, Indiana Fever." That clip has probably been watched millions of times. I think I watched it probably 5 or 10 times. And the book is done. That's not for the book. I was just, what did I just see? It's the high wire act at the circus. That's what Caitlin Clark is. That's what brings it in. It's entertainment. She's a basketball player, yes, but she's really an entertainer. And that brings her to this whole new level and brings all these fans in who otherwise wouldn't care at all about women's basketball.
I love it. And I love that you bring out the entertainment factor, because when I think about, again, my childhood and watching Jordan grow up, it was the tongue hanging out. It was the moves. It was the starting on one side and playing and hanging in air for what seemed like an eternity. For her, it's like shooting the length of the court. It's the entertainment factor, because I didn't know what I was watching yet. All I knew is I'm looking at it like that's not normal.
Right. Well, I have a chapter title that I love, this chapter in the book, called "You Can't Take Your Eyes Off Her." And it's quote unquote, "You can't take your eyes off her." And this is the most unlikely person who said it. A male golfer, 2-time U.S. Open champion, Curtis Strange, good guy. Nothing against him. But again, someone who never would have watched women's basketball. And he says it in the book. And he says, when she's bringing the ball up the floor, don't run to the refrigerator. Don't leave, because you can't take your eyes off her. And that's, again, the quality and the kind of person who would never have given the time of day to women's sports, who now is planning his life. And he says if he misses the games, he immediately goes on social media and watches all the highlights. Yeah. Wow. Amazing. And we cannot, I know you get it, and I know your people watching and listening get it too. This has never happened before with women's team sports in our country. Yeah. Olympic teams, yes. Women's soccer team, wearing the red, white, and blue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But this is someone who was wearing the black and gold of Iowa.
Yes.
And now the red and blue of Indiana Fever. She should have been representing. I deal with that, the Olympic snub and all of that. I break more news in the book on that. So if you're mad about that, if your heart rate's going up, it will still go up a year later. Just a disastrous decision to not put her on the Olympic team. But the point is, it's easy to cheer for female athletes or male athletes when they're representing the country.
Absolutely.
Right? They're at the Olympics.
Yes,
you want to, you couldn't care less about the sport, but now you care because it could be a gold
curling, medal. I'm watching it all. I'm in. It's USA.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
But here, this is so organic. This comes from Iowa. She comes from Iowa.
Genuine fandom.
And then turns it into this amazing thing. And again, that's why this is so unique and why I jumped on the chance to write this book.
Amazing. So final question. I know you have a book signing and I already see the line creating over there. So I won't keep you too long. I feel like they're looking at me like, let her go. She needs to come sign all these books. But if there were one central theme that you would hope that your reader walks away with when they pick up a copy, what would that be?
I think what a great role model she is. She is so appreciative of everything that has been given to her. I say in the book, Adam, she's 22 going on 40 or 50.
Yeah.
I've covered sports for over 40 years. I've dealt with thousands of athletes.
Yeah. She
is one of the best, maybe, the best, certainly as a young athlete, to not get mad about a question, to not want to cut an interview short. I asked her 40 to 50 questions, answered every one. So that, she's quoted extensively throughout the book. Her mindset, the way she looks at sports and the way she wants to dive in and do those autographs before the games, after the games, one child after another. And as she says, boys and girls, girls and boys. It's not just girls. I mean, of course, she's a role model for girls, but she wants to reach those boys. Yeah. And she's signing, and now that she's injured, she takes minutes to go through the crowd, sign all the jerseys, every one, every scrap of paper, every number 22, every poster. That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And what we're going to see there is that the benefits, the coattails she will have will last for generations in terms of girls and boys who are inspired, boys who grow up very different from their fathers or grandfathers in terms of respecting girls and women's sports, wanting their daughters to play sports. That's happening now. But, you see Caitlin Clark, you see a boy who's, as I have in the book, who she happened to miss him as she's doing autographs. She didn't mean to. There's just so many little kids pushed together and the hands are out and she missed the kid. The kid starts crying. She doesn't know. She's kept going, but I can see it. But a boy about 12 years old on her way back to get to go back towards the locker room, she sees him. She signs. I mean, that boy, that 12-year-old boy will be a dad or will be an uncle. Yeah. And how was his life changed by that autograph and by getting the autograph? And again, not her fault at all. I mean,
of course.
You're going to, you just can't see every little face in there. Yeah. But that's the value. And Caitlin Clark talks about being a role model and wanting to encourage kids at 22. So her maturity combined with her appreciation and her understanding of the responsibility that has been given to her and the way she embraces that responsibility. That will, I think, for anyone reading the book or anyone even thinking of reading the book, you'll just be so inspired by this person. And as I said, this is journalistic. This is not, we didn't work together. I do have some of her behavior, when technical fouls, I deal with some of the quote unquote negative. Yeah. But the positive is just so extraordinary. I mean, people will just be saying, I liked her and now I like her even more after reading this book.
Amazing. Last thing I want you to do, look into the camera. If somebody wants to follow, obviously to buy a copy of this book, we're going to put some links in the show notes. But if somebody wants to follow your writing, your work overall, how do they do it?
Sure.
Or social media, whatever you like.
Exactly. So at C. Brennan Sports, that's first initial, last name, CBRENNAN Sports, all together, on X, on Instagram, on Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook. I think I've covered most of them. Also, my website is ChristineBrennan.com. So it's just my name.com. People can find me there. You can send me an email. And I've offered this on other podcasts and also in general on X, on Twitter. If you've got the book, if you buy the book, get it. I think Amazon right now has an incredible deal, like 40% off. I'm happy to sign Adam book plates. In other words, the stickers that people can put in. Yeah. So for the holidays, you want to buy a couple copies for the kids or the grandkids, just get in touch with me at my website, ChristineBrennan.com, hit contact, do the email. I'll get that. I will be happy to sign those for whoever you want me to. Yeah. Put an address in there. I'll mail them to you. It's my treat. I'll take care of postage. and you'll have those book plates that you can put in the book, especially for around the holiday season.
Wonderful. That's amazing. And for everybody watching, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes again, so you can pick up a copy of the book. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way on your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Christine, again, thank you so much.
Adam,
and congrats
pleasure.
on the New York Times. All this, come on, amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's magical. Sometimes things you can plan forever, and then sometimes it's better not to plan at all. So just happen out of the blue. Well, not necessarily out of the blue, but it's a pleasure. Love talking with you.
Amazing.
Good luck on your podcast. So nice to meet you here in DC. And thanks to everybody. And keep enjoying those logos, from the parking lot. Those logo 3s from the parking lot. Take care.